proving a little bit difficult for him to see. So Andy Lovenbury's race, I think, is just about out and gone. But look at this. Further up the field, it is Keith Sandbergen once more through the chicane, followed by Ben Horn, still holding on to that second position and making up the ground once more. Elton Bucock, but some pressure coming behind Elton with Gary George, and now Stephen Powell also with that pack. The smoke died off a little bit with Andy Lovenbury's vehicle, but the damage is probably already done to that rear tyre, and certainly still we're waiting for him to be pulled off the track. Ben Horn still in second, Elton Bucock third, Gary George fourth, Stephen Powell fifth, and Andy Lovenbury still hanging on in there. However that tyre hasn't blown, I really don't know, but another battle going on at the rear between Adam Atkins and also Brian Burt. The two of them always fighting it out at the rear of the pack, and certainly makes interesting racing between those two. And let's have a look back in front. Still, Keith Sandbergen leads this first Class B race at Thruxton. Ben Horn is in second position. Still in third is Elton Bucock, and Gary George in fourth. There's going to be an interesting finish to this race between these four, but the gap is increasing between Ben Horn and Elton Bucock. Keith Sandbergen absolutely flying out in front. They're through the chicane once more. At the moment, no serious incidents at this point, but I don't think it's going to be too long before this weekend truck racing sees something here on this very, very tricky part of the track. And still Andy Lovenbury is out there. Now some pressure on Andy from Adam Atkins, and I think it won't be long before Adam Atkins picks up another place. There's Keith once more, just going through smoothly with a lot of space between him and Ben Horn, but Ben hasn't had a second place on the podium this year. It would be nice to see Ben get those points that at the moment he's so well deserved, hanging on to that second place with Elton Bucock to the rear. And this is the point where Adam Atkins goes straight past Andy Lovenbury. Brian Burt making the most of that gap that Andy Lovenbury has left as well, and I'm sure that's because of the problem with the tyres after that accident. This is where it all started going wrong for Andy Lovenbury, with Adam Atkins right to the rear. That's where he got past him. But the man still out in front is Keith Sandbergen, followed by Ben Horn and Elton Bucock in third place, with a little bit of pressure being put on Elton here, with Gary George just a couple of feet from his rear bumper. And through the chicane one more time. This chicane may be the point where Gary George makes a little bit of an attack on Elton Bucock. Let's have a look with some onboard footage, and certainly Gary George going straight through, pinching the place from Elton, pushing Gary up into third place. Now not too much of this race left, so Elton Bucock just getting a little bit sideways through that chicane. Graham Powell now putting pressure onto Elton as well. But there's heck of a battle going on behind them between Adam Atkins and Brian Burt. Adam keeps closing the door on Brian, but constant pressure with these two trucks. And there we see Andy Lovenbury finally being pulled into the pit lane with that tyre problem. Let's have a look what's happening back on the track. We're on board again, this time with Elton Bucock, who's tucked in fourth position behind Gary George. Gary stealing that position on the lap previous, and certainly you can get a taste of the action from the driver's perspective. And another battle still going on between Adam Atkins and Brian Burt. Brian trying every move in the book to pull up a place from Adam Atkins, and a great bit of driving action there from Adam, you have to say, just closing the door time after time. And Brian Burt, after that horrific accident at Donington Park last week, well, this is the time when he can enjoy some more racing. Now Keith Sandbergen back through the chicane, and behind him now with a very, very large gap is Ben Horn, just about to come through the chicane. There's Ben, certainly not making any ground, but another battle then continues between Gary George and Elton Bucock, being thrown straight off the track. Missed the chicane for Graham Powell, and Graham's certainly stolen a space. Let's have a look what it looked like from on board. No chicane there, just a straight line, and certainly the windscreen process for Elton Bucock, and not only losing his windscreen but losing a place in this Class B race. Now, I'm sure Elton Bucock is not going to take that lying down. He lost that place, really didn't deserve to. Got pushed aside, and probably he's going to have to make an attack pretty soon. This is what's happening still at the rear of the pack, with Brian Burt trying to get ahead of Adam Atkins. But let's have a look on board once again with Elton Bucock trying to squeeze past Graham Powell. Graham already back into third position, but he's got him on the outside. This is cracking racing, and certainly gained that position back from Graham Powell and tucked in behind Gary George. Let's have another look from the outside of these trucks. You can see as they come through that right-hander, they're going to be side by side, with certainly Graham Powell trying to defend that position, and it looks at this point that he has defended it, but with the inside line, Elton Bucock puts the hammer down and regains his third place position. Now he's tucked in behind Gary George. Of course, it was these two that had the serious coming together at Donington Park only last week. In fact, we're surprised to see Elton Bucock actually back out on the circuit this weekend. An immense amount of damage that he incurred during the coming together between these two, and it looks like he's making a little bit of an attack on Gary George in the distance and trying to get on the outside of Gary George. Graham Powell now tucked in behind. The battle between these three is the one to watch out for. You've got in front Ben Horn in second place and Keith Zandbergen leading this Class B race, but the battle is for third, fourth and fifth. Graham Powell, another attack coming on Elton Bucock as they come through the chicane. This time the chicane taken perfectly by all three of these trucks. Gary George still hanging on to that third position. It looks like the first and second places are guaranteed already for this race, unless something serious happens to Keith Zandbergen and Ben Horn. These two at the back, still a heck of a battle. The crowd absolutely loving the race between Brian Burt and Adam Atkins. But look at this, the leader now so far ahead. Keith Zandbergen, circuit at Thruxton for the final time, and behind him certainly about 8 to 10 seconds adrift is Ben Horn. Behind him are the three battling for the third, fourth and fifth position. At the moment, Gary George still holding on, but a challenge once again from Elton Bucock, locking up on the inside of Gary George, just deciding to keep clear of any trouble between the two of them and trying to avoid any damage to these trucks, and Elton having to back off. But another chance for Elton certainly on the inside of this right-hander. But Gary George still holding that third position at the moment. Certainly at the rear, still this battle ensuing between Adam Atkins and Brian Burt. It's been entertaining viewing, but there's still more action trying to come in between the second, third and fourth position. But there's Ben Horn going through it. It's Keith Zandbergen wins. Second place to Ben Horn. Third place is Gary George, and fourth place for Elton Bucock. No podium position this time for Elton or Graham Powell. And look at the final two trucks coming over the line. What an entertaining race it has been between these two, Adam Atkins and Brian Burt. Brian Burt bringing up the rear, but I'm sure both of those drivers had a heck of a smile on their face. But this man we haven't seen all race. He's just limping back into the pits. He had a second place, a great podium position at Donington Park last week, but Gareth Davis has had a disastrous race. Certainly not one that he wants to put down in his record books here at Thruxton.
So Andy qualified fourth. Great start off the line. Things seem to be going well. Got yourself up to third place, and then next time we saw you, all went wrong. You were slipping down the grid.
Yeah, basically had a bit of a contact with Brian Burt, but before that I had a problem with the gearbox when we come around the chicane just before the main straight. I went for top and it just wouldn't clear gear. Kept on pulling it in and out, tried a few times, dropped it down to third, went back to first, and it cleared for some reason then, so it was just a bit of a mechanical problem, start the problems, and then basically give the rest of the pack a chance to catch me up, get all around me. Went up with a bit of contact on the top and buried the back frame into the back tyre, and basically got called off the tracks out of the race, and we couldn't go any further.
Yeah, I mean obviously very disappointing, because from that grid position you're looking for picking up a few points at this point in the race, but obviously that's not happened now, so very disappointing slipping back and not getting the points.
Yeah, very disappointing because I need the points. We're a bit further down than we expected to be for this time of the season. Basically, tomorrow's another day, and let's see how we go with the next race.
Okay, thanks Andy, hopefully it'll go a bit better for you tomorrow.
Thanks, sir.
So let's get the confirmation of the race results after the first of the Class B races here at Thruxton. Keith Sandbergen first, Ben Horn second, Gary George third, and of course, as we just heard, sadly, Andy Lovenberry